share, and we're live in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast with Earth Key English. My name is Gianluigi Nicolosi, and I'm one of the co-founders and teachers here at Earth Key English. Today, we've got a very special podcast for you. We have a dear friend of mine, Lio Mihos, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how he started teaching, what he's doing now, and any alternative methods of teaching that we've discovered throughout the few years of teaching or so. So before we do that though, please, I'd like everyone to get on your phones, on your laptops, join our live lesson, and please share with as many people as possible. This way, more people can learn and join us. So I'm doing it right now. I'm sitting here on my phone and I'm just gonna go share. Too far down. Share. Where's that NumFeed group? We always get lots and lots from that NumFeed group, man. Share. Tilt. No, we don't want that one. Ooh, there we go. And NumFeed, yes. All right. So if you've picked up on us and you're just joining us, welcome to our first little podcast. Also, feel free to please write comments and questions, and we will try and answer them as we go along. Okay. Sooner rather than later, I think is the right way to say it. Here is our lovely guest, and Lio, please could you introduce yourself to us?
Thank you very much for having me on for your podcast today.
Welcome.
So I'm a young ESL teacher from South Africa. I studied in university for a few years, and I discovered that I really liked working with people. And I studied languages when I was in school.
Oh, interesting.
As a kid, I studied some different languages, an African language, of course, English as a first language, and then my mother tongue, which is now my second language, Greek.
Okay. Did you go to like extra Greek lessons?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. I had in my early school years, I was learning actually Greek primarily, and then English as a second language at my school. And then when I went to high school, it swapped around.
Okay.
Because I had naturalized both languages. But for finishing school, I needed to learn more advanced English, and also take on a local language, an African language, where I was learning at school.
Oh, awesome, man.
So I discovered that I really like working with languages, and it kind of led me, and I also like working with people. So that led me to where I am now.
Nice, very nice. I think we're in the same boat there as well, because I also grew up speaking Italian on the one side with my father, English with my mother.
Yeah.
Being at a school in South Africa, learning a local language as well.
It's quite similar,
Yeah. What language did you learn? Local language did you learn?
It's called Zulu.
Okay, same as me.
Yeah. And I think that's we have that in common, which is interesting. Mediterranean language, English, and an African language.
Okay, yeah, very, very cool.
And they all have different characteristics, which I'm really happy to have even been exposed to and understand the kind of differences of expression.
Yeah, very cool. If you guys are watching now, write in the comment box, what languages can you speak? Okay. Remember, the more languages you can speak is like taking your brain to gym.
Yeah, language gym.
Oh, very
still
hard.
Still going.
So where are you teaching now?
At the moment, I'm teaching, I'm with a company that I've been with for the past few years. I'm teaching in Hanoi in Vietnam.
Cool.
I've spent the last 3 years here. And I feel it's been a successful experience. I'm still with the same enterprise, the first company that I joined here, and I'm working just a bit outside of Hanoi with students aged 18 to 20.
Oh, awesome!
Range,
Awesome. Yeah, I would definitely say 18 to 20 must be interesting. I mean, I personally have been working with secondary and high school
Yeah.
for the last 2 years.
So when I kind of began my more professional teaching experience here, it began with young kids and adults, actually, two age groups that were very, very far apart, but sometimes could use the same techniques to manage.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
And that was a really good place to start, I think. And then gradually another project kind of arose, which was for this age group. And it is very interesting because you're working with students that have finished school, but you're trying to present learning to them in a more, I guess, a slightly more like sophisticated and professional sense. They have to learn academic language structures and present formal ideas, and I really enjoyed that because I really enjoyed academic study in my university time. But it definitely has its interesting challenges.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. What's one of the challenges that you would experience on a weekly basis?
I think one of the kind of mantras that we have and I'm sure it's common with a few different teachers and companies, is if you don't use English, you won't learn it.
Yeah,
agreed. So to continue to get the students to just communicate in English, because there's a lot of discussion, not with me, but with the students themselves, and just to keep them rolling and practicing and just make it less of something that you need to think about and more of something that's just a reflex.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yes.
So that's a challenge that comes week in, week out. But the students are quite highly motivated and they enjoy the atmosphere. So it's not a difficult challenge to overcome.
I can imagine can be a lot more motivated than some of these secondary school kids I've got there. Where they're just absolute... I hate to use these words to describe some students, but there is no words to describe some students can be absolute animals in class.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you just have to let that kind of come out. We like working with people, so as much as it is about learning language and practicing it, it's also about understanding people, and if there's a moment where that energy just needs to come out, and then as a teacher you realize, cool, I'm going to take a step back, let it happen, and they'll come back.
Exactly. And if any parents are watching now, that's one thing teachers also do quite a lot, is yes, we teach them the materials we need to teach, but we also are analyzing behavior and personalities of the kids.
Absolutely.
Because one of our jobs is to guide these kids to make them the best type of person that they can be. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, cool, man. So you've been in Vietnam for 3 years. Were you kind of thrown in the deep end when you first got here in your school, or
I would say
had like a good training system?
I think that there were some alternative concepts that I needed to get used to. As soon as I arrived, it was in the early summer of 2017, and I joined a summer camp immediately. And I'm actually really happy that was my first experience of English second language teaching, because I'd done some tutoring back home in different scenarios and different educative practices, but second language learning, which is quite different. So the summer camp was brilliant, and I was thrown into the deep end in the sense that 50 kids, one group. But the way that I was presented with it was, it's less of a lesson and more just of a group experience. Lots of little groups within the larger group trying to reach the same goal. I had a support member with me, and she is, I still work with her, fantastic. Shout out to Tui Ling, actually.
Tui Ling!
Fantastic energy. And so she actually helped me understand the nuances of working with kids and getting them to feel the common goal. So I'm really happy that I experienced that. And then after the summer camp, which there were 3 different summer camps that lasted about a month and a half, and then I started a more calendar year. And it was interesting from there to start to see the long-term goals that students have, and teachers, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any were you shown any alternative methods during the summer camp of teaching that you weren't used to, which is why it was sudden a shock with these 50 kids in your class?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can only compare it to my language learning experience from my earlier years, which were very formal. Everyone was sitting at a desk. It was not so discussion based. It was what's called parrot teaching and parrot learning, which is you just listen and repeat. So I was, anticipating entering a similar environment, but now that I've experienced what I've experienced, thankfully that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
There was the encouragement of music for mood, which is for me one of the biggest assets in creating an atmosphere of joy, of learning, of just having a kind of comfortable atmosphere.
Cool. Why music? If you don't mind me interrupting, sorry.
So, I think one of the big challenges with learning languages is keeping the brain active. And with music, even though you might not really realize it in a given moment, your mind is processing what it hears, and it's keeping brain activity moving.
Okay.
That's why I think a lot of people can focus really well when they study, because they are listening to music. It's keeping their brain at a steady speed, and they can find some sort of rhythm.
Okay.
And I find that incredibly useful when you understand what music your learners like to listen to, and it gives them a kind of this agreement of let's create a space together for you to learn.
Oh, cool.
That compromise is huge, I think, for a teacher. So that was, definitely the first, which was alternative for me. It might not seem so uncommon now. I think it's quite common, which is good.
Yeah.
Something else was learning by doing.
Okay.
So that's project-based learning, which I think has become quite a common part of 21st century learning. Yeah,
definitely. PBL is definitely growing in the ESL industry. So project-based learning and even STEM and STEAM learning.
Absolutely.
So STEM and STEAM learning is science, technology, engineering, and maths as well. Which these are actually really growing in the ESL industry in terms of teaching methods as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I learned how to create new things. I learned new things and it's because of the technique of learning that I hadn't experienced before. So having an opportunity to implement projects, concepts, encouraging people to work together, or students to work together, that was a very different introduction to language learning, which I wasn't used to before.
Okay.
And from there, the journey kind of grows more and more.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, awesome, man. Awesome. So, if you don't mind, walk us through like one of your regular days at school.
So, there are multiple different there's a big student body. So on any day, those students could be either doing a normal lesson, or a different learning experience, which is preparing for a weekend project. Or doing a one-day project in the school and in the day that it's happening.
Oh, cool.
For me, when I teach, I have 3 different kind of learning practices that I'm a part of at my school. One is just normal lessons. We have a kind of subject for the day, and in fact, it's less about learning English and more about learning about the concepts, just using English.
Do you stick with the same class for the whole day?
No, the way it works where we don't do that. There's a kind of belief of community-based teaching where a teacher could kind of go to any different class and apply the same principles without any kind of difference other than teaching style. The students can expect the same thing, or at least the same structure in the lesson, but a different way of using it. But so I do normal lessons, I do debate training, which is really cool.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Preparing students with an argument for the week, and then they will kind of meet with another class, and I will host a debate, and they
fight.
They knock each other's heads off. It's interesting.
With words.
Exactly. Typically in a lesson, I'll have about 15 minutes of a warm-up discussion.
Cool.
And it's like speed dating. So
nice, yeah.
Now that I'm with these students, there's about 30 students in the class,
Yeah.
so 15 pairs. And
Just reminded me of a game that I forgot about that I use in class.
What is it?
It's speed dating.
Yeah.
Like one group sits at their table and the other one just shift and they have
They move around every
you
2
just
or
have
3
a
minutes.
2-3 minute timeout. Thank you for reminding me about that. I totally forgot about that game.
And one thing that I find a great enjoyment in is creating the questions that, like a framework of discussion, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Simple kind of introduction question, and then following up with either more challenging questions depending on the subject, or just really fast-moving questions so that I can keep the students moving quite a lot.
Yeah.
That's a creative part that I really enjoy, because although it becomes problematic because you don't want to apply everything that you believe, you want students to discover for themselves what they believe.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. 15 minutes of warm-up, and then I'll start kind of sharing some new words that I think they could use, maybe another discussion after that, and then typically a video of some kind. We like to use TED Talks, and I really enjoy TED Talks because they are people from around the world that share ideas.
Yeah, from all walks of life, and
Absolutely.
there's so many good ideas there. If you're not watching TED Talks, watch those TED Talks. Get on it. Trust us.
There's definitely a TED Talk for you.
Yes.
Whatever you're interested in, you can find it and you can learn yourself.
Exactly.
So yeah, we use TED Talks quite a lot, and that ties into a theme for the whole week, sometimes with the debates as well. And that's generally the practice of teaching that I'm engaged with. It's less about learning English and just learning about concepts using English.
Okay. That's very interesting. How are the students responding well to that kind of method?
It's required fine-tuning, and it's taken, and I give a lot of credit to the company that I'm with, it's taken a couple of years to understand what students want to learn and how we can kind of deliver that for them, and also what we believe they need to learn. And getting that middle ground between teacher and student, which is such a challenge. But yeah, I would say at the moment the students do find it quite interesting, and especially considering the context of Vietnam, which has had its borders only open since the early 90s.
Yeah, very true.
So the idea is to expose the students that I work with, which I think is common, I'm sure, with the students that you work with.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of people that we know.
Yeah.
Just to bring more exposure. And that's why I think they embrace it, because it's new, something that they haven't experienced from their early school years.
Yeah. And again, even with the company I'm working with now, we have our set IELTS book that we use for high school. But the teachers are given kind of free reign to teach the material as they like. And I also tend to use music and videos in my class a lot.
It's very helpful.
Especially nowadays with technology growing so fast. I mean, when I was in high school, I had one of those old brick Nokias. And you could use play Snake. And I mean, now these kids have got the entire world's knowledge in their hands. So I get them to use their smartphones in class to find information quickly, and then also use projectors and things to obviously share. I
think we're quite blessed with the technology that has joined the classroom since kind of you and I were learning languages 15 odd years ago. We were kids. Where it was really just book, pen,
read this,
and listening.
repeat this.
I'm thankful for the integration of technology. I'm glad that you brought up, the mobile phone, which students can resource any information they really want to. And that's actually one of the challenges that I have, is helping, and I learn in the same manner as well, helping students understand how to move away from information that is dangerous or false, or, that is just not really true in any way. Good evidence for good arguments. So that's it's another challenge that I have to overcome.
I mean, again, in this information age, we have to teach the students how to think critically.
They have to become their own filters.
Yeah, exactly.
In a big way.
Yeah, very much so. Cool, man. What's been definitely the weirdest thing or the craziest thing you've experienced teaching?
I'm sure if I had really thought about it, I would find some very interesting moments. But I think probably the strangest thing that I've found myself trying to do is teaching brain activity, the kind of what is it called? Not analysis, the structure of the brain.
Yeah.
And neuroscience to students that are 8.
Oh
7.
no!
And yeah, it wasn't exactly smooth.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Teaching, and here's the amygdala.
Yeah.
And this is your hippocampus.
We
kids.
start off with nose, eyes, hippocampus, amygdala.
Prefrontal cortex. No, all of those things are absolute. So the idea behind that was to, which I really believe is a very good idea. Our brains are engines, and you can learn how to use your brain in the best way possible. So if you understand how your brain is reacting when you're learning, then you can tune it to either help you more or to focus more or to adjust your learning experience. It's a really interesting bioengineering.
Yeah, great idea.
So the idea was to help kids understand the anatomy of the brain from young. And then as they get older, they can relate learning experiences to how their brain is responding to the information. They know if they're bored, that this is what's happening within their brain, and then there's a recipe to kind of change that feeling and then to make it a more enjoyable or kind of optimal learning experience. So, but yeah, it was very weird trying to discuss this high scientific kind of concept to kids that are like, hey man, tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
Let's play.
I mean, it's a great idea, just I think they targeted the wrong age there. I mean, I personally wished I probably had learned that in grade 10 or 11 or before going to university.
Absolutely.
Because then at least I would have understood it a bit better and understood that, okay, now it's learn time.
Yeah.
For either finals at school or for university. But yeah, man.
And that's why, I think learning those concepts now with the student group that I work with, it's ideal.
Yeah.
Because they can really apply those ideas to maximize their learning.
Yeah, 100%.
Fully, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What's the most weird experience that you've had when you've been in a classroom or in a learning space?
Oh, weirdest. So I actually used to work in South Africa as a survival guide and camp counselor. I used to take kids out into the mountains for like 5 days with nothing but a backpack.
Interesting.
And we do team building activities with them and then teach them how to build fires.
Is this leading up to a prank of some sort?
No. So obviously for the bigger trips in the mountains, you're gonna get teenagers with you. And we all know what teenagers are very interested in doing at that age, especially when they mix groups mixed with girls and boys.
Okay.
So definitely one of the awkwardest moments I had, I think, was waking up in the morning, moving everyone's tents to wake them up, and moving one tent and feeling
heavy.
This is very heavy. And what was supposed to be a 2-man tent, I found 3 couples in there.
Oh boy.
Having the time of their lives in the early hours of the morning. And I'd definitely say that was one of the weirdest experiences and just like talks I had to have.
You just throw cold water on them.
I just kind of was like, guys, you can either get up now and go quietly, or I call everyone to come watch. And they were like, "Foof!"
That is leverage. That is leverage.
Yeah, leverage, man.
Wow.
You gotta play mind games sometimes. Oh, thanks, thanks for bringing up that memory.
Yeah,
that was great.
Maybe some of your learners have had some weird learning experiences that they can share.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have had any weird learning experiences, feel free to comment in them. If you're one of my students watching this and you've had a weird moment with me in class, comment below and let us know.
I actually just remembered a more humiliating story for me.
By all means, share.
So I had a presentation session with about 90 students, and they're in large groups presenting a topic for the week that we'd given them.
Yeah.
And I was furious with this one group because the protocol, the kind of steps to beginning this presentation is that they all need to have their presentations copied onto a computer, a central computer that we can just kind of begin with.
Access, yeah.
And no one had really kind of taken the 5 minutes to do this for the time management of the whole session.
Yeah.
So I was very upset. And whoever's presenting has to stand on this little block. You know, you're the presenter. You're on the block.
You're on the block.
This is you. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to get on the block. And I'm just going to really set the students straight and tell them this is a reflection on their kind of practice, and it shows me how much they're willing to do, and I can kind of foresee what the session will be like.
Yeah.
In the hopes that it would get people moving and doing what I asked. Didn't. Anyway, I got on the block. I shared my thoughts, let's say. And I had one student that was constantly trying to be like, teacher, excuse me, Mr. Lio, and I was just telling him to quiet down. I was just telling him I don't want to hear it.
Angry Lio time.
I'm in the middle of this. I'm in the middle of a thing. If you cannot see. Eventually, he was persistent, and I listened to what he had to say, and he said, "Can I speak with you outside for a moment?" And I was like, I took a deep breath, and I was like, "Okay, this must be important."
Yeah.
So I exited the classroom. It was dead quiet. Dead quiet. I had to kind of squeeze past some people as well while I was in that mood and everyone was looking at me. I go outside, and this is actually a student that I really like. And he said, "Mr. Lio." I said, "Yes, name. What is it?" And he said, "Your pants. Your zipper's down."
Oh, that's so brilliant. So you're crapping the kids out, and all they can do is look at your fly down.
Yeah. And then walking back into that room was one of the coldest experiences I've ever had in my life. But one that I'll keep forever.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Lesson learned. So that was really funny.
Oh, that's brilliant, man. Brilliant. All right. Lio, before we wrap this up, is there any advice or anything you would like to offer the audience watching, or any tips or tricks on how to learn? Or
I think what I said earlier is something that I find has really helped me now that I've discovered it in the recent past, is that you can really adjust your learning experience to, and you can tailor it. And it's not about learning that A and B equals C. It's learning about A and B. It's focusing on what happens before the results and finding a way to enjoy that process, and learning that learning with friends or with teachers or wherever it is can actually be a really fulfilling experience if you truly want to know more. If you want to grow your knowledge and you want to, present more knowledge to your friends or to your family, because not everyone knows everything, and you might share something that someone doesn't know today and it can change their life. So
very good point.
That's the advice that I would try and tell people.
No, very, very good. I agree with you. I think if you actually enjoy the act of learning, you could discover some amazing things. Cool. Thank you very much, Lio. It was an absolute pleasure having you on our show.
I would love to come back another time, maybe another game show.
Yeah, definitely.
I lost.
Got a game show next week. Maybe
Good
Lio
luck.
can redeem himself sometime soon. But guys and girls, thank you very much for watching our second podcast. If you enjoyed this and you're watching on Facebook, don't forget to give us a little thumbs up there. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more and more podcasts. Right, guys and girls, thank you very much, and I hope you have an amazing Thursday evening. Thank you, and goodbye. All right.